alliance Rome was in. By 272 BC, the Romans ruled most of the Italian peninsula. They had won numerous battles with Samnites and Greeks. In 146 BC, Rome finally won the Punic Wars against Carthage after years of bloody fighting. Ancient Rome annexed northern Africa, Sicily, and Iberia. Upon defeating Carthage, Rome controlled a majority of the Mediterranean Sea. This was when Rome definitely became a significant civilization. Rome had some enemies too. They had bad relations with each other. Some of their first true enemies were the Gauls. They had invaded and burned Rome. Around the same time, Rome made its own enemies too. When Rome looked to expanding and conquering kingdoms surrounding itself, it started many wars between Rome and the kingdoms. Centuries later, Rome made another bigger enemy. Carthage was a fierce enemy who, just like the Gauls, invaded Rome. Their plan to conquer Rome because the might and size of the Roman army was too much for them to destroy. Carthage was also problematic for Rome when expanding their territory beyond the Italian peninsula. They got into major conflict three times before Rome removed the threat and started further expansion. As more time went on, Rome got a new enemy. The enemy was the poor people of ancient Rome who suffered from the conquest and demanded Rome to stop doing it. This did not go in the favor of the poor. The rich people of Rome strongly encouraged and benefited from the conquest. As you can see, Rome had many foes that tried to invade them, some threatened to block Roman conquest, and even had ones inside the nation itself. Rome had some alliances too. Rome's first allies were the Etruscans. They did not recognize each other as allies, but the Etruscans did massively help in the development of Rome. They increased Rome's wealth and modernized it as well. At the beginning of the Republic period, Rome joined its first real military alliance called the Latin League. This alliance included many nations in the Latium region. This alliance benefited Rome because Rome used aid from the Latin League's assets to invade its vicinity, mostly nations outside of the Latin League. Almost 2 centuries later, in 338 BC, Rome dissolved the Latin League, which was one of Rome's strongest allies. After the dissolution of the Latin League, Rome got a new ally. It was one inside the nation itself. Rome's biggest allies in its success after the Etruscans were its strong and loyal army. Rome benefited Rome benefited exponentially from this when expanding territory, which it mostly did using military force. These are the alliances Rome had and made during the centuries that lasted. Over the years, many major events happened in Rome. During the regal period, six kings contributed to the development of Rome. This was followed by even more development after the regal period when Etruscan rule commenced on Rome around 600 BC. As I mentioned, the Etruscans helped Rome in the long run. The Republic period of Rome started when Romans expelled Etruscan rule in 509 BC. A major accomplishment of Rome during the Republic period was managing to defeat the strong Mediterranean sea power Carthage by 146 BC. Towards the end of the Republic period, the murder of Julius Caesar started a civil war in the Roman Republic. The Civil War lasted from 43 BC until its conclusion in 27 BC. Yeah.
Long.
After the Civil War, the Republic turned into an empire when Caesar's heir Octavian took power as Rome's first emperor. By the 2nd century AD, the Roman Empire started to decline because of the people's lack of say. After all, it was an empire. This decline continued to the point where the Roman Empire split into the Eastern and Western Roman Empires in 395 AD. The Western Roman Empire continued to decline and suffered frequent and fierce barbarian attacks. Rome was eventually captured by the barbarians, and the Western Roman Empire collapsed in 476 AD. These are the major events that happened in Rome from the regal period to the eventual decline and collapse of the Roman Empire. Rome was both similar and different from its surrounding kingdoms and city states. One of Rome's similarities to many surrounding kingdoms was that it was also a member of the Latin League. Also, Rome was a kingdom at some point as well, just like many surrounding nations. Rome also had the differences from the nearby nations. One way Rome was different was that they were able to revolt and remove Etruscan rule. Rome also stood out because they changed their form of leadership twice. The first time to be in a republic and the next to be in an empire. Another the difference of Rome was that they not only had ambitions of conquest but could also accomplish them successfully. Rome's main difference is that they had a much larger impression on today's life and are more well known. So Rome was it was similar to the surrounding nations as well as have their ways that make them largely unique. Rome may have lasted for a long time, but it eventually fell. This decline started after the Civil War when Rome became an empire. The people had too small amount of say and influence in the nation, whereas the high-ranking Romans had too much. There was still another issue that started appearing about the same time. The Roman Empire was huge and especially hard for one emperor to control. A newfangled issue that started to show not far after was the Roman armies trusting their generals more than the emperor. Having disobedient armies was a large problem for Rome. They had massive armies that once enabled them to conquer giant swaths of territory. This weakness in the Roman military allowed nations that were once of no threat to do serious attacks on the empire. As time went on, the empire continued to decline and even started to divide. The Roman Empire split into the Eastern and Western Roman Empires in 395 AD. This may have allowed the Eastern Roman Empire to thrive, but the now even more weakened Western Roman Empire continued to undergo foreign attacks. More and more attacks and decline in the empire allowed the British and Germanic tribes to invade the capital itself of the Western Roman Empire. In 476 AD, the Germanic leader Odoacer forced Emperor Romulus to leave power, which resulted in the inevitable collapse of the empire. This marked the end of the Roman Empire, which gradually became one of the largest nations in history, but eventually fell due to its imperfections. Ancient Rome did leave an impression on the world after it fell. One example is the Roman language Latin, which was preserved by the Roman Catholic Church for centuries and is still widely used today. Latin is also the basis for many European languages, including English, which are now spoken on every continent. In addition to that, The judicial systems of many countries are based on that of Rome. Even the United States Senate is named after the Roman government during the Republic period. Roman, Roman architecture designs also
Mm-hmm.
aided many engineers which lived long after the fall of the Roman Empire. This architecture helps with constructing roads, aqueducts, and bridges, which are all vital for a civilization. As you can see, even though the empire itself may have fallen close to 2 millenniums ago, the civilization did leave a large impact on the modern world. The Roman civilization is the foundation that modern civilization is built upon. Without the Romans, our civilization would not be the same. The Romans made mistakes during their history which we should learn from and not make ourselves. This is the civilization that created the ideas that dominate our culture and civilization today.
Mm-hmm. Good job.
Yeah.
I like it.